Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Christina Show, where we motivate, inspire, and heal. And tonight is no different. I'm here to motivate, inspire, and maybe bring some healing to someone. I am your host, Christina Nelson. This is going to be a good talk tonight. I decided to share my story about how I raised 3 children while being diagnosed with a quote unquote incurable disease. Because we know that man says there is no cure, but we know that God is the cure, right? Jesus is the cure, was the cure, is the cure. So let's get started. I just want to say hello to everyone who is watching right now. And thank you for all who will watch the replay. So hi to Shivanasta and Ugandhi, Marla, Vanessa. I said Vanessa. I'm going down the list. My husband, Pastor Eric, and whoever else might be listening tonight, or like I said, or to the replay later on. And like we always do now, shout out to Sheila because she is going to be listening later on. I know she is. So we thank God for her. So let's go over. I know I've discussed how I was diagnosed and everything, but let's go back to that day. I don't know the day. I just know that in March of 2001, I was sleeping one morning, woke up one morning, and like this literally came out of nowhere, guys, nowhere. Keep in mind, I just had a baby. My daughter, she's 24. She'll be 24 now. So, gosh, man. So 23 years ago, around this time, I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on with my body. I woke up one morning and I could not feel my feet. And I mean, I could not feel my feet. I was like, what in the heck is going on here? This is weird. I just had Kiara. Faith and Aaron were 6 and 7 years old. Yes, they were 6 and 7 years old. Kiara was about 6, 7 months old. And we were all kind of chilling in the house. Hey, Sandra. We were chilling in the house. And, I woke up and I couldn't feel my feet. It was strange, but it wasn't strange enough for me to just kind of stop everything, what I was doing to, figure everything out and try to, go see what was wrong or anything. And I didn't go see what was wrong right away because it was kind of like, well, let's just see if this goes away. I couldn't kind of try to shake my feet out and shake around and try to see if the feeling would come back. And it was just kind of like this really weird sensation. And I figured out later it was called pins and needles, but excuse me, but I didn't understand it at that time. So I wake up and I'm just going throughout my day. Things start happening where it wasn't just my feet. It started rising up. It was my calves and it was my shins and it was my thighs and my knees and my chest, which now I realize was an MS hug. I had no idea it was an MS hug at that time. I didn't know what an MS hug was. I didn't know what MS was. And so bladder control, losing, my ability to hold my water. It was just kind of weird. I was like, what is going on with me? And it was then that I decided, let me go to the doctor. So I just went to my regular primary care doctor. I remember it was this Russian lady, real nice, real sweet. Excuse me, y'all. Keep getting hair in my my mouth. So real sweet lady. And she says, let's get some blood work. Let's see what's going on. Got blood work. Everything came back okay. And so she says, I'm going to send you to see a neurologist. So I went to this one particular neurologist and they said, let's run some tests. Let's go get some MRIs and see what's happening. So the first they did my MRI of my back and MRI of my, was it my neck? I think it was just my back. And it might've been my brain or just my back, but whatever it was, it didn't really show too much. And then, so they said, we need to bring you back for, and I forget what the test is called, where they kind of stick you with needles and everything, right? If you know the name of the test, go ahead and put it there. But I forget what the test is called, but they're supposed to stick you with needles to see about your nerves. It was like a nerve test, but I don't know what the actual name of it is. And so I said, no, I am not coming back for that. They said, we have a suspicion that you might have MS. And I was like, no, I refused at that time to believe that I might have MS. And so I stopped seeing him. It was the summertime. I stopped seeing him. I just said, I'm just not going to go back. Hey, Mom. And so my mother-in-law is on. And so I said, I'm not going to go back. So I didn't go back. I was like, no, I'm not going back. I refuse. And so what happened was, I remember what made me go back to another doctor. I said, I want a second opinion. So what made me go get a second opinion, I was home, and I wanted to go and pick up my kids from the bus stop. Not from the bus stop. I'm sorry, from the school. I did not want them to get on the bus. I wanted to get them. Did I have the baby? I had Kiara. I think I had Kiara in 2. She was a little one. I'm sorry. Look, it was 24 years ago, guys. So 23 years ago. So I remember I did not have her. I forget where she was. She might've been with my mom, but I took just myself, and I tried to get the kids to not go on the school bus. And here are the buses, and the buses are leaving, and I'm running. I could still run, but my legs gave out, completely gave out. I fell to the floor, to the ground hard. And everybody started running up to me. I was embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, where are my kids? Where are my kids? And I realized they had gotten on a bus. And I said, I just wanted to get my kids off the bus. And they were like, the bus is long gone. So that's the first thing I'm worried about now, is they're going to get home and I'm not going to be there. Remember, I told you they were like 6 and 7 years old. So they were little kids. They were young. They might've been a little bit younger than that. No, they were 6 and 7. And I was just like, oh my gosh, my kids are going to go home. I'm not going to be there. I can't get up. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know if I was hurt to a point that I couldn't move anymore. All I know is that my legs were really weak, and I just wanted to get home. I got myself together, got in my car, and went back home. I went back home and I got my kids, and I was just like, are you guys okay? Is everything okay? Because they didn't have keys to the house. So they were like just playing outside. I was so nervous and scared. I'm dealing with this in my head, trying to figure out what's wrong with me while trying to raise these kids and trying to get everything and try to get life in order. My daughter's father and I were like on like a whatever. We were in off and on and all that kind of stuff. And so, nothing was just going my way, I felt. And so I get home and I saw the kids, and they run up to me and they're like, Mom, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Take your time. Okay, babe. I said, yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm doing good. I'm okay. Why you ask that? Little did I know, my kids, when the bus pulled off, I fell, and my kids were in the bus, and their friend said, your mom just fell. And they could see me on the ground. They were at the back where the emergency door is, and they were looking, and all they can see is their mom on the floor, on the ground. They had no idea what was wrong with me. I was so appalled that I allowed my kids to see me like that. I was trying to navigate what was going on with me because I hadn't known. All I knew is a speculation that I might have MS. I still hadn't gripped that reality yet. I didn't know what was going on with me. I just kept saying, this is crazy. I feel fine one minute, and next minute I'm not fine. I was weak. And all they thought was I fell out, and they thought that something really bad happened to me. But when they saw me, they were like, oh, okay, Mom is here. And they made me, they made me come in the house, and they were just like talking to me like, Mom, we were really scared. One of my friends said that your mom fell, she passed out. And all they can do is see me in the window. Like, imagine, when you are behind a school bus and the kids are all in the window, in the back window looking. And that's what they did. And they were scared. And so that's the first thing, trying to raise kids when you are diagnosed with a disability. I wanted to paint that picture is because kids don't know what's going on. And I didn't know what was going on with me. and they were scared. They were little and they were scared. Kiara was a baby, so she didn't know anything. She didn't know what was going on, of course. But these kids were little kids, first and second grade. Yeah, first and second grade, or kindergarten and first grade, or whatever. And they were terrified. All they saw was their mom on the floor, and they didn't get it. All I know is that I realized that this is the time I knew I had to find out what was going on with me, because I wasn't sure if this was something that was going to take me off my feet, knock me off my feet, quite literally, as it just did. But I just was scared. I was scared. And so I went and I saw another doctor. And once again, I was going through these series of tests. I took off from work. I went on vacation with my kids to Wildwood, New Jersey. I did a lot of stuff that summer. And then I went to another doctor, another neurologist that was recommended by my coworkers who were nurses. I worked at a hospital. And they were like, go see this, Dr. Monastersky, I remember. And he did another series of tests and MRIs. And this time he said, I'm going to take one in the back of your neck and I'm going to take it over your head. And then he saw the lesions. And he said, I see some lesions. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I see some lesions and I'm going to give you a spinal tap. That's when he did the spinal tap, Sandra. He did a spinal tap on me. And I remember I was dealing with so much at that time. You guys, I was getting put out of my home because Kiara's father and I were split. We split up. And it got to a point where I couldn't handle bills on my own because we were supposed to be together on that. And I couldn't pay my rent. I was being put out of the house. I had to move right away, and I get a spinal tap the day before I had to move. I mean, the day before I had to move. And I got the spinal tap and I was feeling okay. That night, I was supposed to pack more stuff and I couldn't do it. I remember I had a mattress on the floor in the living room. The kids got a mattress, got with me on that mattress, and they were scared with me. My little one was with her, my mother. And they were just like concerned because I had that spinal tap headache. And I was sick, y'all. I was so sick. And I had these kids with me and they were scared. They didn't know what was wrong. I was sick and I was nauseous. My sister and Kiara's dad came over the next day to help finish packing. First, my sister was like, you're not packed. Like, what is going on? And I was like, I couldn't pack. This is how you got to get people to understand what was going on, because I wasn't sure if they believed that I was really feeling it or was I faking it. And I wasn't faking it at all. I was sick as a dog, like, ooh. And we were doing all the moving around back and forth, packing up stuff, getting rid of stuff, and going to move my stuff into a storage bin so I can go stay with my sister for a couple of months until I found a place to live. And so imagine I'm dealing with this sickness. I'm dealing with, moving and trying to get myself together. I was done. I went to my sister's and, that night I said, I just can't take it anymore. I went to the ER and they had to do they had to fill my spine back up with blood. So when you have a leakage, I found out that it's spinal fluid that leaks from your back, leaks from the spine, and it gives you this awful headache that only you can rest. Resting is the only thing that helps it. Every time I laid down, I felt okay. But when I got up, it was horrible. I was sick as a dog. And so what happened was my kids, my daughter, Faith, now she's my drama. They're both drama queens, but she's my drama queen, drama. And she saw them get ready to take this needle and stick it back in my spine to put this blood. And I'm hunched over on this table, and there's doctors and nurses holding me, and she freaks out in the hall. She's freaking out, like she's crying, and she's like, "No, get off my mom!" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is insane." And so, anyway, to wrap that part up, this was the beginning of this being diagnosed with MS. And I just was like in all kinds of disarray. I had a breakup. I had these 3 kids. I was moving. I needed to find a space to live. All of this was at one time, raising these kids while diagnosed with an illness. Now, here's the point of I just wanted to paint that picture, but now here I'm getting to the point of what I was doing to raise my 3 children while being diagnosed. It was a new field, and I'm trying to help someone. That I'm trying. Yes, that blood patch is great, Marla. Like I think I felt no headache after that. Like right away, I think I felt so much better after that blood patch. I was like, oh, okay, that's all it took. Yeah. Yeah, we do. Sorry, guys. We have silly teenagers riding motorbikes outside. I didn't know. I usually would have closed the door, but I forgot to close it, and I was running out of time. So I just sat down, and our balcony door is cracked, and there's these kids riding up and down on motorbikes. Of course, right now, of course, right? So where was I? So anyway, you know, I'm trying to get it together. Now, my kids can't tell all the time that there's something going on with me. All they know is that I walked funny sometimes, because when you have no feeling in your feet, you're trying to get a gist of how you are going to handle things. You know, you're walking, you can't feel your feet, but you can feel your feet. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Some of you can feel your feet, but you don't feel your feet. And I'm walking weird, and I'm walking funny. And, you know, eventually I got used to it, but I have these small kids, and I have to be a mom. I have to. We move, I found an apartment, and I'm just on autopilot, trying to take them to school, trying to get myself together, trying to go to work. I still worked at the hospital, working as a nurse's aide, some heavy lifting and all that kind of stuff. I just was on autopilot. At that time, I was not walking with a cane. I didn't walk with a cane. I didn't walk on any devices. I was pretty normal, to say the least. But it was that invisible disease thing where people couldn't see that something was wrong, because if I told someone, they said, oh, I couldn't tell, all that kind of stuff. Oh, you don't look sick, all of that, you know. And the kids, you know, they knew that I had some difficulties walking. They knew hi, Betty, grace and peace to you. I knew that I was not feeling well sometimes. I knew that I had fatigue. I didn't understand it. I just knew I had extreme tiredness. I knew I had to go to the doctor. I was raising these kids to do and be the best that they could be. I was under a lot of stress. Now, how do you tell these little kids that you're stressed out not to stress me out? Because everyone knows when you have kids, you could get stressed out. I was a single mom, and here are these kids, and sometimes they're at each other's throats, and sometimes they're arguing, and sometimes they're not behaving and everything, and sometimes they're doing their own thing. And I was still trying to raise these kids with this new diagnosis, with trying to, even a couple years into it, with trying to wrap my head around losing a relationship. Will I be worth it to anyone? Meanwhile, the enemy is speaking these lies to my head, saying that you're not a good mom. At one point where I went through a great period of depression, that in itself really messed a lot of things up with raising my kids. Later on down the road, I found out how they were really affected by the fact that I tried to take my life. They found out, my daughter found a note, and of me telling my sister to take care of my kids because that she could be better to them than I can. And I was just like, gosh, you know, I'm going to just give in and surrender my life. And I don't mean my life giving it to Jesus Christ. I mean, I was going to surrender my whole life and not be around. I just didn't think I was worthy enough. Now, you know, yesterday, guys, I talked about being enough. And I was enough, but I didn't know I was enough. And that's where it probably stems from, is that I just didn't know my own worth. I didn't know I was good enough. I didn't think that I could be a mom and raise kids feeling the way that I did. And I know I could have been worse off back then, but I wasn't. But I still felt all the symptoms. I still felt the fatigue, the numbness in my feet, the bladder issues. I remember I didn't know about wearing protection, bladder protection at that time. And I remember running and trying to hurry up and get to home to the bathroom, and the kids looking at me and feeling probably embarrassed because I would be in the car doing the pee-pee dance. I would be like this, shaking in the car, and the kids would be like, "Mom," and I'll be like, "I'm sorry, I have to really go to the bathroom." They were like, "Why didn't you go when you left?" And I would be like, "I'm sorry, I did go when I left, but it's part of MS." And and they would just be like, they didn't understand that. And I would be running into the house trying to go, not to have an accident. And there were times that I've had accidents, and my kids were just like, couldn't understand, like, why are you a grown woman, you're our mom, and you're having these accidents with your urine, and how are you, like, what is wrong with you, type of thing. And I just felt awful that they had to see that. They had to see me struggling to get out and go to the bathroom. And, I tried really hard to get myself together. I was doing physical therapy. I remember at one point I was going to the track and walking around the track a lot because I thought that would be, making my legs stronger and everything. And I was doing pretty much okay. But, I knew then, guys, I did not know about the grace of God. And I did not know that, he sent his word to heal me. I didn't know that by his stripes I was healed. I was raised in church my whole life, and I had no idea what those terms were at all. I never heard that before. And it wasn't until the diagnosis of MS where I started hearing these things much later in my life. But raising children with a diagnosis and just trying to live everyday life. Absolutely. Being a mom and raising kids can be very challenging now through an MS and challenging now through an multiple sclerosis, extra tough. Yeah, it was extra tough when you were having something else. It's challenging being a single mom, period, right? But being a single mom with this thing going on here was extra, trying to see if I can walk, when my kids needed to go to Playland or wherever their school was taking them. And I wanted to be a chaperone and trying to walk and keep up with everyone. That was devastating. It was devastating trying to do these things and the kids wanting me. I remember, where did we go? Oh my gosh, it's in Pennsylvania, Hershey Park. Faith had an orchestra concert, and they had the opportunity to play at Hershey Park. And I went to Hershey Park with them, and I remember being really tired. I didn't know anything. Like, this is what I'm trying. I didn't know anything about the sun and hot heat exhaustion. I knew nothing about that. I was walking around with this sun. I was sick. Oh my gosh. I didn't know what in the world was going on. It was horrible. Listen to me. I was in Hershey Park, and it was burning hot. And I just remember sitting down. We were trying to eat, and I was just sitting there exhausted, and I couldn't understand. All the other mothers were going, and I think they were looking like, well, how come you're not? I was trying hard to be like the other mothers. And keeping up with them, because I didn't want anybody to know that this was what was going on with me. I didn't want people to think that, I was, why did you come if you couldn't keep up, that type of thing. And so I just did what I had to do. And I was exhausted. And there was the whole bathroom thing again. And I could see the look in my daughter's eyes when I said, I have to go to the bathroom. And her look in her eyes was like, don't you embarrass me out here in Hershey Park and have an accident and let yourself. I was just like, I'm sorry. Getting on the rides was hard and difficult. And they had, their friends are with them. I think it was both of my kids. Both of my kids were there, both the older two, going to concerts, being a mom who was trying to support their kids in their sports. oh my gosh, it was just crazy. Yeah, everyone share this broadcast here. What did you say, Rosemary? Hi, Rosemary. I believe the test you made. Thank you. EMG. Yes, ma'am. That is exactly what it was. That is what the test was. EMG. Yes. When they told me that they wanted to do that, I was like, oh no, you're not. Sticking nothing in me. You will find out some other way. But yeah. So I got that test. That was earlier when I was talking about I couldn't remember what the test was where they wanted to stick me with needles. The nerve test, it's an EMG. But anyway, yeah. I did what I had to do. Here's my one thing that I took away from raising younger children. One day I asked my neurologist if on my next appointment. My neurologist worked at the hospital that I worked at, and so I saw him one day, and I was like, I have an appointment coming up. Can I bring my kids? He's like, yeah, sure. I said, I need you to explain to them some things about MS, and my kids don't remember me doing that to them, but I remember bringing them to my next appointment, and he explained multiple sclerosis to my kids, my older kids, and they were intent and they listened. They said they don't remember that. If I tell them today, do you remember coming to the doctor with me? They would say, Mom, I don't remember when you did that, but it's okay. They were young, so I'll give it to them. But I remember bringing them to the doctor. So that is one thing that can be done when you are raising kids with a chronic illness. Why don't you talk to your healthcare physician, your doctor, and say, I have kids, whether they're little kids or teenagers, and say, I need them to understand this because I really don't understand it myself. Why can't I need a doctor to explain it? When I brought them there, I think at that point, I felt that they had a little bit more clarity. They knew Mom had something going on. And this is why I was behaving in the way that I was behaving, as far as not walking correctly, as far as, running to the bathroom all the time. It's just those things. And that helped bringing them to the doctor with me. I remember my oldest daughter said, I honestly don't remember you before MS. And that was sad, but she just said, because they were so young that she always remembers me having or being diagnosed with MS. She always remembers those points. She doesn't remember how it was before that. I remember being upset because I couldn't run and show them how to ride a bike. That really upset me. I remember needing to ride a bike, but this is where you have to put your pride aside and say, I need help. And so I needed help. And so I forget who it was. Someone helped me help them ride their bikes. And there were times they had to do it themselves. And I think my son, we had a guy neighbor who kind of stepped in and just, said, I'll help him, try to ride a bike. And he was with his friends. And so that helped too. Like they were all riding bikes and he learned how to ride a bike that way. And I think my daughter's similar to, helping ride a bike. But I remember feeling really ashamed that I couldn't teach them how to ride a bike because it was always this like fantasy vision that I would have that I would be on the back of the bike like they did to me. Here's my daughter. Yes, she said, it's okay. I taught myself. That's my oldest daughter, y'all. She taught herself. Yeah, I knew one of them taught themselves. I remember we were living in Woodlake, right, Faith? And you taught yourself how to ride up our 3rd Street, and you taught yourself how to ride a bike. And she came in and she was like, look, I can ride a bike. And I saw her and I was just like, yay. But I still wanted to have that opportunity to be the parent that teaches them how to ride a bike. And I couldn't do that. And I was so mad that I couldn't get my kids to ride a bike. But it's all good. It's all good. You know why? Because she taught herself. It was 3rd Street. Yes, it was 3rd Street. And she fell so many times. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you were on Faith earlier when I was talking about the time in the bus where you and Aaron saw me fall when I was in the bus, when you guys were on the bus and you saw me fall. I don't know if you could say anything about that, but I remember that clearly to this day. But just being able to be honest and open with your kids that I do have some things going on, and I need for them to, understand that even at a young age. This is young kids, needing people to step in and help you. And my husband's laughing. Don't be laughing. I guess you laughing at her. You know, having young kids and having people, support system for people to be there for you, people to, you know, help you along and saying, I'll take the kids, I got them. I remember my youngest daughter's grandmother, she was always there for us. And she would always be, even though her father and I didn't stay together, she was there with us. She was always helping, and she was always making sure that I had help. And things like I remember I moved into my apartment after coming from my sister's, and that summer was hot. And I knew I couldn't stand the heat. I just didn't know it had anything to do with MS. And I remember her aunt going, and it can be very humbling, going to Walmart and buying me a window air conditioner because she said, you can't be in this heat. And I had an upstairs apartment, so I was hot. And she got me an air conditioner. I didn't want them to do that. I was grateful, but I didn't want them to do that because I felt like, well, I can get my own air conditioner. But they bought the air conditioner for me. And that was very, like my husband said, humbling, but I was able to be a little cooler that summer. I had one someone gave me, and then they bought me one. Having people pick them up from wherever they were going, or having friends being able to babysit, or take those little times for yourself. It is an experience. She said at that moment, she said, I was terrified. I remember and had that vision in my head until this day, just watching you on the floor as the bus rode off. It was like a movie. It was like a movie. Yeah, I guess it was like a movie, right? For you guys, seeing that experience. Going through depression and the kids not understanding why I was depressed and how I felt very unworthy of being a mom. Get help, get people you love and are connected to or trust who can help you with your children. I had that support system at that time who helped me, with my children, even though I know they didn't necessarily understand MS at that time and what it is to have MS, or what it is to be diagnosed with it, or the fatigue and all that kind of stuff. People, not everyone understands that. And even when you get to a point where you might have a relapse and you're not feeling too great. I went through, their lives, and I was good, and not a lot of people knew about it. Their friends really didn't know. And, or I don't know if your friends knew or whatever, but I remember, I went through a relapse, 2014, and I had to start using a cane. And I think that's when everything became evident. And I feel like that's when a turn came, because, using a cane, my kid, the oldest two weren't in school at the time, but having to use a cane and have your kids' friends ask what was going on and what's wrong. I didn't know if my youngest daughter felt ashamed because I was to go to meetings like the parent teachers conferences and open houses. And even without the cane, I remember trying to go to all these classes and running around and trying to climb up the steps. It was really difficult at that time. With adding a cane to it, I would be, really go walking down that hallway, trying to get to the next class ahead of time. I would tell the teacher, I'm leaving, 5 minutes before you let this class go, so that I could, now they're shooting fireworks. So I'm leaving after this next class 5 minutes early so that I can get to the next class, so I can get a head start, realizing, wow, I'm in the hallway with all these kids and parents, and it was just, it was rough. It was rough. And you go to the parent teachers conference, or I'm dropping my daughter off at school, and not knowing if they fully understand how tiring it could be when my daughter, the youngest daughter, would leave something at home, or she would be like, Mom, I don't have any lunch money, or Mom, I left this, or Mom, can you bring this? And I would have to drive to the school. And I'm like, girl, do you understand how it is to have to get out this car and walk up with this cane and walk up the hill? They had a ramp, but the ramp was steep, and just getting to the school. And I remember one time one of the security guards said, where is your daughter? She need to come down here and get this stuff, or she need to stop forgetting. She was like kind of laying into Kiara about, you see your mom like this, but I think they thought that I can just do whatever at any time, and I think I was kind of under like that. I was a very, like, I can do all things, right, through Christ. And I don't even know if I thought of it as doing all things through Christ. I think I thought of it as I could just do anything I want. I'm not going to allow MS, and I don't know if it was a stubbornness or a determination, but I didn't, I didn't want people to look at me and say, oh my gosh, this girl diagnosed with MS, that she can't do anything or whatever, or she can't go anywhere or do the things that she used to do, or, we're not going to ask her to be this or that with us anymore because she can't, handle it. She can't walk like she used to, talk like she used to. And I became very discouraged at times. Sometimes it can be really lonely. Especially when you want to date, it could be really lonely. Dating with kids is one thing, but dating with kids and having a diagnosis of MS is a whole other ball game, which I could probably get into one day. Let's see what my daughter has to say. I just remember living life. I don't remember anything else. I really don't. I thought you were the best. Aw. I was never embarrassed because I was ready to go off on anyone if they had something to say. I was very open about talking about it and didn't feel bad because you couldn't do what other parents did. Well, thank you, Faith. Thank you so much. I wasn't sure. You don't know until you know, right, guys? You don't know until they tell you that, until they say, no, I was never embarrassed. I guess sometimes it's you who's like, worried about stuff, and it really isn't all of that. You're thinking your kids are like, oh gosh, Mom. But, I think I was a pretty cool mom. Yeah. Yeah, they do, Vanessa. They do give that look like, what's wrong, with her? Why is she walking like that? What's wrong with your mom? Your mom okay? Stuff like that. So, yeah, I did get, I think I got in my own head. Here you go. Now I understand why my sister acted the way she did. She did not share her diagnosis with us. Rosemary, I was thinking about that too. And I used to say, I think you should tell people. I think you should tell people. But I do understand that she did. And you don't know who you trust sometimes, who you can trust. And I'm sure you guys would have been great, even if she had told you much earlier. But she didn't. She was probably like, I just can't tell people because I don't want people. First, you don't want people fawning all over you. And second, you don't want people to give you that look like, are you serious? Like, is that real? Like, so you really can't go out with us tonight? Or you really can't do things? You really don't know how to do this? Or you really are tired? I remember being exhausted, extremely exhausted, and not wanting to do certain things. But because, I had this determination or whatever you call it. I was like, I'm going to get up and do it. I don't care, if I'm exhausted the next night. I don't care. I just want to just be normal. That was what I thought at those times and those days and everything, being normal. I have a few things here just to, if you're a young parent or you have young kids or you have kids, period, here's for the younger kids. Make your home accessible. Modify your home, or for anybody, modify your home and use accessible equipment for baby care. And I can actually relate to this, okay? Because when my kids started having kids, my daughter, actually, the one that's on, when I had my grandson, I would put him in a stroller, even in the house. I would tell them I need him to be in a stroller, and then I can push him all around. If I sat down, then I can pick him up, change him, burp him, feed him, put him back in the stroller. If I needed to go somewhere, instead of carrying him, I put him in a stroller. Now, when they started getting big and go walk, they could just walk. I can have, them walk wherever. But I remember saying he needs to be in a stroller if I got to babysit, because I can't carry him. I was, my balance was off, and I was using a cane and everything, and I just didn't want to fall with this baby. And so I would put him in a stroller and walk around the house. So that's one foolproof thing you could do. Put the babies in a stroller. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you cannot take care of a kid when you are diagnosed with a disease. I have seen people in wheelchairs take perfectly good care of their kids. I've seen deaf people take care of their kids, blind people take care of their kids. You can do all things, especially through Christ who gives you the strength. You can do this. Don't let anyone put fear in you that you are not going to be able to take care of a baby. Yes, you can. And my daughter trusted me with her son in a stroller because she knew I'd be able to be okay. I learned that from my mother. My mother would sometimes put my kids in a stroller because she was a little older and she didn't want to walk around with these kids all on her hip and all that. So she would put them in a stroller and walk around the house. I thought that was ingenious. So I did it too. Take care of yourself, get enough sleep, eat well, exercise, and take breaks. I'm guilty of not doing any of those things. Can I just be honest? Take care of yourself. Yeah, I would have those moments where with the kids, and I would give myself take a long shower, long showers, or facials, or my own facials and all that kind of stuff. I would do stuff like that. But get enough sleep. My kids know I'm a night owl. I'll stay up all kinds of hours of the night. They even text me now, 1:00 in the morning, knowing that I am up. My sister will too. They know I'm up. They know I'm wide awake. Eat well. Okay, I could do better. And Pandora's on right now, so I'm not going to, I digress. Exercise, like I said, Pandora's on right now. I digress. And taking breaks. Yeah, I got to take breaks. You got to take breaks. You got to give yourself a chance. And my husband's probably in the room like, yeah, right, you take breaks. I know I'm not always a good break taker, but I try my best. I'm just the kind that I just have to move. I got to make sure everything's right and perfect. And, I got to do everything the last minute. Dishes have to be done, all that kind of stuff. I'm just like that. But I'm learning to sit down and take breaks. And sometimes my husband has to force me to sit down and take a break. I talked about this earlier. Seek support. Ask your partner and community for help. You can also access information and support from other people, and you can have people, friends that can help you out if they can, and only go to people that you trust and know that are going to have your back, not somebody that's going to throw it up in your face. I helped you out when you couldn't take your kids, or I helped you out when this happened, and all that kind of stuff. Listen, don't allow people to guilt you into doing stuff or doing making you feel bad for asking for help. Ask for help. Trust me, ask for help. I wish I would have had asked for help more when the kids were younger, but I didn't, because like I said, I was one of them, like, I can do it. I don't need no help. Communicate. Talk with your children and explain what you're doing in simple language. I believe that's when they're a lot younger and you need to talk to them. If I can go back, I think that I would have definitely talked to them more and said, Mommy's tired. Mommy can't go right now. I can't take you right now. I wish I would have done that a little bit more instead of trying to just be like, I can do it. Involve your child. Include your child in what you're doing around the house, like doing housework or washing dishes. Now, my kids know I definitely recruited them. And that is one thing, everyone. That is one thing I did very well, is get them kids to be independent. People might have looked like, you got these kids washing their own clothes. Yes, I did, because I knew that it was a lot of work to do everyone's laundry. At one time, before I had a laundry washer and dryer in my home, I would go to the laundromat, and it would be so tiring to go and wash all those clothes, fold all those clothes, bring all those clothes back. It's a lot of work. We don't have a washing dryer or dryer here now. I have a laundry service because it's a lot. But I taught when I moved into a home that we stayed in for a few years while they were growing up. I taught them how to wash their clothes. They were young. They were like, how old? Maybe 10, 11. I made sure they knew how to wash their own clothes. My daughter would help wash her and her sister's clothes. And my son, I made him wash his clothes. Now, how often he washed his clothes was a whole different story because he was a boy. And I would walk in that room and there'd be like 5, 6, 7 towels dirtied up and washcloths all up, stuffed up in his closet, funky. Oh God, it was a mess. I would just be like, what are you doing? Why are all my towels in your room? Because he just didn't like doing all that stuff. But he's good now. He's 30 years old and he has 5 kids of his own, 5 boys. And so he knows how to do all that stuff now. Thank God. I taught him how to do it when he was younger. I taught him how to iron, cook. My daughter's a chef right now because I made sure they knew how to do basic life skills early. Washing the dishes. They all knew how to wash dishes. They all knew how to clean because I could not do stuff like that all the time. It just was a lot. And when you have 3 kids and they're doing all this kind of stuff, doing things and going places, let me tell you, it's rough. So I was able to get them doing do everything that, I would normally have done if I was just maybe a stay-at-home mom or something. But if you add a chronic illness to it and the fatigue, get them kids to help you. I don't care if they're little. The little one would do stuff too. I had her spray. I had glass coffee tables and everything, and I'll make her spray them with glass cleaner and wipe them down and change the garbage bags in the bathroom. We had 2. And so she would change the garbage bags. I had her doing chores too. Yes, you have to get your kids to help. Don't let anybody say, oh, they're kids. They're so little. They don't need to know that. Yes, the heck, they do need to know how to clean their own rooms and wash dishes and wash clothes. Yes, they do. Get them to help you. Get them to help you. I had them trained. They did all of that. Yes. My daughter said, that's why I am the way I am today. That's why I'm like that with her son, Zari. He knows how to wash dishes, cook, and clean. That boy is 7 years old. That's abuse, I'm telling. No, I'm joking. No, but because he comes over here, we get him to do stuff too. Oh, what did Marla say? She said, at the time of my diagnosis, I also worked in healthcare. Went no push to the ER by my anesthesiologist. All right now. Amen. Why are you laughing, Fee? Laughing at me? Yes, the heck they do. Yes, they do. They do. Kids need to learn how to be independent and help. Because if there was ever a time that I was so sick or couldn't do anything myself, I need to know that they would be able to handle things themselves. I remember when I had an appendectomy, when my appendix was removed, I was sick. And I remember coming home and my family members made dinner and cooked stuff for me and frozen dinners and everything. Those kids knew how to put stuff in the microwave, heat it up. My oldest daughter knew how to help Kiara get in the bathtub, help her get in the bath, take a bath. I'd supervise, but I couldn't do all that bending down and picking up and all that kind of stuff. So I remember that night before. Kids, they're so intuitive. She's saying she remembers that night because that I had the appendectomies because I was sick and I had taken them a dance class. I stayed in the car. I came home and I called my mom and I said, in the morning, can you take me to the hospital because I think something's wrong? And she said, yeah, of course. We took the kids to school and I went to the hospital and found out that my appendix had burst. And before that, my mother I mean, the night before, my kids, all three of them, Kiara was just following suit because she was little. She was like 4 years old. And so they all got a pallet in my room on my floor and slept in the room. And I remember I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And Kiara Faith was just like a little kid still, like 9. And she tried to call herself, trying to help me go to the bathroom and help me because they were so concerned that something was wrong with me. They helped me out a lot. My kids helped me become the woman that I am today. My kids helped me be the fearless person, the independent woman, the woman that I am right now, because they had to and we had to. I wish they didn't have to grow up so quickly, but they did. And it was for their own good because they're great adults now. They're great adults. Even when my youngest one's a little spoiled because she was the baby. I was the baby, so I was spoiled too. But she stepped up and she helps out a lot. Now that my kids are grown, they help out tremendously a lot. My son's in North Carolina. He doesn't live around here, but I knew if he was, he would help out a lot. They're a blessing. Kids are a blessing. And mine were a blessing, even though I was single with dealing with this chronic illness. My kids, as you can see, they were good. They helped me. I helped them. My family helped around, and it can be done. It can be done. It can be done. We grown women appreciate mothers who taught their sons to cook and clean. Bravo. I know that's right, Sandra. Look, because his wife now is very grateful that he can do those things. He helps out a lot with those boys. You can't tell me nothing. He works and he helps out a lot. And he said something to me on my wedding day that shocked me. He said my mom, he talked about me and being a good mom and everything. And you just don't know how children feel unless you ask them. And I never felt like I was a good mom. I didn't get to take them to places or couldn't afford to take them places that I wanted to do the things with them that I wanted to do, but it turned out pretty good. Chronic illness and everything, they turned out pretty good. And I love them dearly. And I'm glad that God gave them to me to raise up, and I'm I'm very grateful. Yeah, 3 great kids. That's their stepdaddy. So I hope I shed some light. There's a difference between when they were younger to when they were teenagers to now. You never stop being a mom. You never stop being mothering. You just don't. Even my mother, she's 94 years old and she's still concerned about me. Yep. Mm-hmm. Faith said, love my stepdaddy. Oh, that's sweet. I know he's probably there smiling right now as I put that up. Yeah. Kids are a blessing, and I'm glad that I had my kids, and I'm glad that even though things got hard, it's good to know that they weren't so hard that I wasn't able to make it. I made it. I'm here. Years later, 30 years after having my first kid, 23 years after having been diagnosed with MS, and I'm still here. And my kids are good. They still here. They still alive and well. I didn't cook a lot, but they were good. They loved when I made them chicken nuggets and French fries in the oven all the time. They loved the occasional pizza on a Friday night and Chinese food and all that kind of stuff. And, it is what it is. So don't be discouraged. You raised them the best way that you could. You're good. You are enough. Like I said yesterday Sunday in my my message on Sunday. You are enough. You are. You're enough. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with having kids and doing what you can for them. There's nothing wrong with having kids and teaching them how to help. It is what it is. There we go. My mom says your life is special. It's a testimony for others. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate that. Praise God. Praise God. My husband has his own testimony of being a father and being diagnosed with a chronic illness. And, on it from a male perspective, I think it's different. I might have him on my show because this might be a series. Yeah. Would you do that, honey, for me? Would you be on the show and share your experience in raising kids with a chronic illness and from the male point of view? I think that will be a good thing. I think that's a good idea right there. Our children look to us as warriors. Yes, ma'am. Yep. I think that's a good idea. If people want to hear Pastor Eric's point of view, give me a thumbs up. If you want to hear Pastor Eric's point of view, thumbs up. We're going to get him up on this show. He's going to have his point of view and having kids with a chronic illness. Absolutely. Yay. Thanks, babe. Thanks, babe. I just thought about that. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. I can have him up on this show doing his point of view here. It's different for a man. It's different. Mothers are mothers, all the way. But fathers, it's different. You want to play ball with your kids. You want to do all that. All right, I got 1 thumbs up. Yep. All that kind of stuff. I got 2 thumbs up. Yep. If I get another, we're going to have Pastor Eric going to do this. He going to do this. All right. Yep. They see our strengths going through the knockdowns and you rising up. That's right. And I rise up. Yes. Amen. Marla got the thumbs up. Yes, ma'am. That's it. That's it. Pastor Eric is going to give his point of view and raising kids from the male point of view when you are diagnosed with a chronic illness. All right, guys. We've been up on here. I appreciate y'all listening to me go on and on and on. Rosemary, moms did. Rosemary said yes. Yes, indeed. We're going to do this. I'm excited. It will probably be in 2 weeks because I have another guest next week that was already scheduled for next week. And so in 2 weeks, we'll have Pastor Eric up on here and do that. Yeah, that's going to be a good one too. It's going to be a good one. Stay tuned, guys. So thank you guys for listening to me and how I raised my kids with being diagnosed with a chronic illness. And I appreciate all of you for listening. Don't forget to like and share. Don't forget to subscribe to the Christina Nelson Show. Subscribe. I need my subscribes up. I need them to come up, That's it. He said Faith picked him up off the floor a lot of days. I know that's right. Woo, honey. We were all going through some stuff. And she's picked me up too. Trust me. I have fallen, and my kids used to have to, help me up off the floor a lot of times too. Amen. All right, guys. So love you all dearly. Thank you once again for being here. And I guess we will see each other next week, next Tuesday. Tomorrow, Pastor Eric's Healing Bible Study is up, and he is doing the 3 vital keys to, I'm sorry, I always forget the title, babe, but you can put it out. 3 vital keys to conquering MS. Bam. Multiple sclerosis. 3 vital keys to conquering multiple sclerosis. And so that's his Healing Bible Study tomorrow at 7:30 on all right, Belle. God bless you. Ministry. Oh, God bless you, ministries. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, I know who that is. All right, Belle. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night, Marla. Good night, everybody. Love you to life. Have a great night. See you next week.